Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right. Hey, my beautiful people. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Season of Self-Love podcast. This is Transform Tuesday, and I'm your host, Nyomi Banks. I'm so grateful to be back here with you after what I can only describe as a divinely orchestrated week of forced stillness. You know, I have to be real with you all. I missed you last week. I wasn't here because my body literally made me slow down. I came back from that beautiful vacation in Miami thinking I was going to hit the ground running, ready to tackle all of my projects with this renewed energy, right? But honey, the universe had other plans. You know, this month we're diving deep into creative expressions. And ZY shared an incredible story about embracing creativity through adversity and showing us how sometimes our most challenging moments become our most creative ones. And that's exactly what happened to me this past week. So today's Transfer Tuesday is called Being Still, when the universe forces you to slow down. Because sometimes God, the universe, our higher power, whatever you call it, literally sits us down and says, baby, you're moving too fast. So be still and know. And that's exactly what happened to me. You know, I had went to Miami expecting sunshine, beach days, the perfect vacation energy with my family. But instead it rained. It rained all day, all week, every day, except for one particular afternoon. And you know what my first thought was? That this is not what I planned. This is not what I wanted. But as I sat in the house in Miami, watching the rain come down and being present with my family, my entire family together, something shifted. Something shifted. So instead of me being frustrated about the weather, I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude. This wasn't a vacation that I planned, but it was exactly the experience that I needed. For the very first time after many, many years, I was able to vacation with all three of my daughters. My oldest one, who is 33 years old, will soon be 34. My 22-year-old, who will be 23, and my 12-year-old, who will be 13. And I'm about to share something with you, as well as my granddaughter. Yes, I have a granddaughter who has just graduated out of 8th grade and will be a freshman in high school. So I was able to spend that time with all of them. We hadn't did a vacation. We've never done a vacation with all of us together, myself, my husband, my 3 daughters, and my granddaughter, as well as their significant others. We hadn't been able to do a vacation like that ever. I'd done a vacation with me and my oldest 2. Yeah, we've done that all the time they were growing up. And then I did it with my last two. And then once my middle child left, then me and my husband and my smaller child did it, my youngest one. But we never did it together. And this was the first time that we did. This was the first time. But what it made me do when I sat there, I looked at my 19-year-old self and watched my oldest baby and say, wow, I am so proud of her. I'm so proud of everything that she did. And when I sit back, right now, when I sit back and I look at it, and I was like, I'm so glad that it did rain. I'm so glad, because if it didn't rain and it was sunshine and happy and all, we would have been out in them streets just doing the thing, just doing everything and having a good time, but not being in the present moment of one another, of each other, celebrating our life, celebrating the growth that we all had. And I share with you my oldest one. She literally grew up with me. I was 19 years old, a freshman in college, and I was pregnant. I found myself pregnant at a freshman in college. And then my middle baby from my first marriage, a miracle baby. Now I see her as an adult. And then my little baby, 12 years old. Each girl is 10 years apart. So now I'm able to see it as a whole, every bit of part of me, every chapter in my life. I was seeing it right before my eyes with those three beautiful women, young ladies, as well as my next generation, which is my granddaughter. So I'm able to see us all in that space, in that room for the next 4 days. I can see their growth. I can see their strength. I was able to truly sit in gratitude that no matter how much money could never give me that right there. We were able to cook together, laugh together, play games together, have conversations together. I'm able to speak with their boyfriends. Well, my middle baby, I've known him for the past 4 years, and we always had a great, relationship. And then my oldest one, new boyfriend, I was able to sit with him and conversate with him and have a good time just being me and my family. And I was like, this is what I needed, because I knew when I got back that I had a whole lot of great projects going on, But also what it gave me, it was for the first time in months, I wasn't consumed with my to-do list. I wasn't thinking about the next episode or the next project or the next thing that I needed to accomplish. I was just present. I was just grateful. And I was just still. And in that stillness, something beautiful happened. My creative block started to dissolve. Now, when I got back home, I was now down for 5 days. And in hindsight, those 5 days of recovery weren't a setback for me. They were a continuation of my healing process. They gave me clarity about which projects to pursue next, and which directions to take, and which creative visions to bring to life. You see, rest helped me with my creative blockage in ways that all my pushing and striving had. So today I want to talk about the radical act of rest as a creative practice, about how reflection can be the most productive thing that we do, and how sometimes the best way to break through creative blocks is to stop trying to break through them and just be still. But before we get deep into this topic, I want to take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, here on this season of Self-Love Podcast, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, here from the season of Self-Love Podcast.
Yeah, I would say remorse. So shame and guilt is a very dividing emotional.
And these are one of the many amazing conversations that we have every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Season of Self-Love podcast with myself, Nyomi Banks, as well as our resident therapist, Dr. Will Washington of Washington Wellness Institute. Come by.
The reality of our relationships with people.
Come by.
And a lot of times we're afraid of how people look at us. And so that compassion can't enter.
You can hit us on the website, the Season of Self-Love podcast.com. Let me ask you this, with the truth, is it...
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, my beautiful people, well, welcome back. Well, first, before we get down, you know how we do it. I would like to ground ourselves beautifully together, all right? So right now, I want you just to find a comfortable position. If it feels right for you, close your eyes or just soften your gaze. All right, so now let's take a nice deep breath together in through our nose. And now exhale through your mouth, releasing any urgency or any pressure to be productive, and any guilt about resting. And take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to give yourself permission to be exactly where you are right now, without needing to be anywhere else or do anything else. Now I want you to imagine your creative energy as well. For so long, you may have been drawing from this well without giving it time to refill. I want you to feel yourself stepping back from that well, allowing the spring to bubble up naturally, allowing the water to rise and become clear again. Now with your next breath, I want you to breathe in the word rest. Feel it settling in your body, into your nervous system, into your creative spirit. And as you exhale, I want you to breathe out the word trust. Trust in the stillness. The creativity is not lost. It is restored. Trust that in rest, that your vision becomes clearer and not cloudier. Now I want you to place your hand on your heart. And I want you to feel it beating. It's beating steadily, doing its work without your conscious effort. Your creativity is like your heartbeat. It doesn't need to be forced or rushed. It has its own natural rhythm. Now I want you to set to this attention right now to honor both your creative expression and your need for rest. They are not opposites. They are dance partners. Now I want you to take one more deep breath in, feeling grateful for this moment of stillness. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people. Again, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something we do every day, Monday through Friday, just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand. All right, so let me tell you what happened. So when I came back from my own Miami with all of these insights about rest and creativity, feeling so clear and energized, right? I was ready to dive into two major projects that I had planned for this month. I had a fashion show that I was asked to make some jewelry and some different items from that was coming up in the next week or so. And also I had the Purpose Rebirth retreat with Dr. Will, probably like the day after. So everything was coming up, soon. And I thought I was going to hit July like a tornado would be with productivity. I've already had my series planned. I've already did one interview with one of my guests. And so, but then I was still stressing because I hadn't got any other guests as of yet. And I was wondering, what was happening with that. Just all of the guests that I've interviewed thus far have not been in line with my then July series, right? So this is in my mind. I'm on the plane. I'm like, okay, I'm had this to do, such to do. I got my rest. I was able to sit in the present moment. I'm like, yeah, you did your big thing, and my body had other plans. My body had other plans, but I should have known because I believe it was Wednesday, the day that it didn't rain. Well, that it stopped raining in the afternoon and the sun came out a little later on that Wednesday in Miami. We were able to go to the beach. We were able to go to the beach. And usually when I go to the beach, that is where, my woohoo happened. That's where I'm able to truly reset. And I wasn't able to. It was these two birds just kept just coming around me, just being, I'm like, what are you doing? And, get away from me. Like, remove yourself. Let me sit in my, and I couldn't. And as I was walking back from the beach and getting into the car, my throat started hurting and started to close. And I'm like, what is that? And it was so crazy. I'm like, okay, is there something in the water? Because I did go put my feet in the water and, all that stuff. What is it? What's going on? So as we sitting there and we're driving to Ocean Drive to meet both of my daughters. I had the little ones with me. So both of my daughters, so we can, eat dinner on Ocean Drive all together. And so when I get there, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good because now we all together. And I'm like, okay, so we sit and we have a great time. So I get home, we get back to the house and we having a good time. We in a hot tub, just having a good swimming, everything beautiful, right? The next day come Thursday. So this is our last full day together. Well, at least, yeah, our last full day together. And I had a good girlfriend of mine that came over that lives in Florida. She came over to visit. So we were sitting there. And I remember after she left, I started to feel sick again. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? Get on a plane, my way headed back to the West Coast, headed home. And I'm like, yes, this is going to be it. And as soon as, I kid you not, as soon as I walk into the door, my brother said, why are your feet and your legs swollen? And I looked down. Mind you, I've been walking on my feet all day. I looked down and my feet and my legs are swollen. I mean, swollen to the part where you feel like you touch it, it will burst. But I didn't see that. I didn't know what that was. I mean, I didn't feel it as I was traveling. So I was like, oh, wow. Okay, let me go sit down. Let me elevate my legs. And then before I knew it, I started going into this coughing spell, like coughing to where I'm getting ready to throw up. And then I started feeling very tired. My head started hurting, vertigo, everything, literally within 20 minutes of me stepping into my home. And the next thing you know, I was down. Mind you, I had a session with one of my clients for my life coach. And then I had a new client to come in on Monday as well. So this is Friday that I'm coming in. So I'm like, okay, for the next 2 days, I am able to sit down. I'll sit down for these 2 days, rest. And then Monday, I'll do my session. But my body had another thing for me. My body shut me down for the entire week. The entire week. I couldn't even record episodes. And for those who know me in this podcast, that's saying something. I record in real time, in the moment, when the spirit moves me. And I don't pre-record everything like most podcasters because I believe that I'm truly being used as a vessel. In my experience, they happen in real time. So I couldn't show up for a whole week when my body literally forcing me to be still, I knew that it was something bigger that was happening. I knew it. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was frustrated as hell because I'm like, wait a minute. I have plans. I have projects. I have some big things. I have some momentum. I have some things going on. But baby, my body was saying, nah, baby. You're going to lay here and you're going to be still. But this is the crazy thing. When I'm telling you I was still, my legs were swollen. So I wouldn't be able to walk anyway. So even me going to the bathroom, if y'all saw me walking, you'd be like, are you kidding me, Nyomi? No. And I'm going to share this with you. I was able to do one of my sessions on Monday. My second one, I wasn't able to do because the internet or something connection was not working. But that was the universe telling me, you've already sat in one session. We'll take care of that other one later. But you need to go lay down. So after my session, when I got from that session and I went to lay down, my legs had blown up again. Yes. And so I couldn't do anything but to lay down. I remember going back and forth with Dr. Will on send me some notes and do this. And he was like, no, he said, you rest and we'll talk tomorrow. So then I remember talking and say, okay, I'm doing all right, but I'm gonna work from bed. I said, if you could send me over the notes so I can get. Dr. Will was like, no. He was like, no. He says, just, text me when you get 100%. And all I can do is laugh right now. It's because I was forced to be still. I was forced to be still. And I was being hard-headed at a moment, but then it was like, no, I've taken everything away. I took your mobility of walking. I took your mobility of seeing clear. Shit was dizzy. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. But it forced me. It forced stillness. But what happened was it became one of the most clarifying weeks of my life. So let me tell you how divine redirection happens. Because see, this is what happened. While I was laying there, supposedly doing nothing, one by one, my July plans had started shifting. The fashion show got postponed until winter. I wake up, I believe it was Wednesday morning or Thursday, and I get a text. And it say, you know what, Nyomi, I went and got a reading. We're going to postpone the show until winter because that's not what I'm supposed to do right here in this moment in time. So we'll be ready for it in winter. I'm like, okay, now I don't have to make no more jewelry. Okay, that's one. All right, so now all I got to focus on is Dr. Will, that, and as well as getting my shows together for July and interviews and everything for the rest of the month. All right. So then Dr. Will, I text him and I say, hey, I'm up a little bit today, such and such and such. Then I think was it Thursday or Friday, one of those days? I can't remember what day it was, but I remember I was able to get up that morning. I was able to go out and water my garden. And as I'm out there watering my garden, I'm doing a prayer, a nice prayer and a meditation out there because I hadn't been out there in a while. And so I remember asking God to guide me to where you want me to be right now. Send me a message. I kid you not. As I was out there doing that, I was like 10 something in the morning. I left my phone inside of the house. So I sat out there for a little while. I ate breakfast outside by the garden. I drank me some tea and I was just relaxing because I said I was going to take it easy. And then I was going to go back in and hopefully that Dr. Will had texted me back. Yes, Dr. Will had texted me while I was outside. And he said that I'm thinking that we should push back this retreat that we're supposed to be doing in 2 weeks. I was like, wow. And so we went back and forth with it. And I remember sitting there like, wow. Okay, I knew it was something. I knew it was something that was bigger that's supposed to be happening. So you see, when something like that happens, the old Naomi would have been, I would have seen this as a setback or as a disappointment or as signs that something is going wrong. But knowing the work that I've been doing for the past few years and understanding about why I was laying down in that stillness, that forced stillness, that even in that forced stillness, I started to see a pattern. That this wasn't the universe blocking me, but this was the universe redirecting me. Because when I see go, I'm gone, I'm jumping, moving, boom, boom, boom. And sometimes when I'm moving so fast and not in stillness, I miss the message. I miss what direction I'm truly trying to go or where I'm supposed to go. You see, I was about to come back from my vacation on full throttle, moving too fast, trying to do too much all at once. And sometimes when we moving so fast, we miss the downloads. We miss the divine directions. We miss the creative breakthroughs that are trying to come through. God, universe, literally sat me down and said, be still and know that I am God. Be still and let everything marinate. So right on this one, I want to talk about the pattern of divine timing. This is not the very first time that we talked about this. This is not the very first time we talked about this. I remember in the beginning of the year, I had all of my plans laid out. No. God used everything that was happening from me from the time of January 1st until now to truly trust and believe in divine timing as well as surrender to his guidance. And I promise you, I'm not preaching here. I'm just giving you what it was for me. And when I look back, I can see the pattern of divine direction, redirection of everywhere and everything. Let me tell you something. I was sitting at my altar. I believe it was on Friday morning. And I remember sitting at my altar and I remember asking for guidance on where all of this is coming, wanting an answer or a direction. Okay. And as I'm going this, I'm preparing, and I know I shared it, I believe it's last month, that in August, I'm going through surgery to have an explant to remove my implants. And so in July, that should be the time that I'm, preparing and getting ready for that. And I remember sitting there and thinking like, hold on, I need to figure out on how to share this journey, because this journey right here that I'm going through with this explant, this is truly bigger than me. Well, how can I do it? That's what I was thinking last month without changing what my series was for July. But if it hadn't been for me sitting still last week, I would have missed this whole thing. But what I'm talking about, redirection everywhere. I'm talking about from the beginning when I left the adult industry. That happened according to God's timeline, but it wasn't my timeline. That's not what it's supposed to have been. But also, I thought I was going to transition gradually on my terms, being a successful entrepreneur, doing so many big things and blowing up. But life has other plans. And what I thought about when I sat down, I said, you know what? Everything that is lined up right now would not happen if I didn't go into the adult industry. Because there will be no Nyomi Banks. There will be no Ask Nyomi bridging the gap. See, me leaving the industry, it became a catalyst for Ask Nyomi. Then when Ask Nyomi evolved it evolved into the season of self-love that was only supposed to be a month series and we're now 330 episodes in of a daily podcast where we're talking about transformation, self-discovery, self-love. That was not my original plan when I left the adult industry. But then that shift happened exactly when it needed to. When I thought I wasn't ready, but God knew, the universe knew, everybody knew. And started lining me up with people that could help assist me, giving me my community and my team. And it led me right to this microphone, to you. Every single time I thought the universe was saying no to me, it was actually saying, not yet. This way instead. This way instead. So me lying there sick last week, I can see it so clearly. Me sitting at that altar, that's when I can really see it clearly. All of these disappointments were actually creating space for something bigger, something more aligned, something that I couldn't have seen if I was moving as usual. If I was moving at my usual speed, I would not be able to see that. I would not have been able to see that because I'm thinking about, I need to finish this. Being productive, getting that stuff out, moving. I wouldn't have known. So on this one, I want to talk about the cleaning of sessions for downloads. So as I said, when I finally started to feel better, when I had that energy to move again, I did what I always did when I needed clarity. I started cleaning and organizing. You know how some people get their best ideas in the shower, which I do too. But I get some of my most amazing ideas when I'm organizing, when my hands are busy and my mind is free. So it's like yesterday when when she said on yesterday's show, when you're busy with your hands, your brain becomes free to be creative about your life. So as I'm organizing and putting things in place, creating order in physical space, and all of a sudden, downloads start to happen. A complete vision for a new podcast came through. Not just the concept, but the title, the format, the purpose, everything. A podcast about my explant journey, removing breast implants and turning the shame into a purpose for women. When I tell y'all, when I thought about that and I was writing it down, I got full body chills. You know that feeling when something is so aligned, when it's so right, that your entire body confirms it. That's what happened to me. And my husband, bless his heart, he heard it happening. Like he was on the other end as I'm telling him my idea. He like, Like he witnessed it. He did, but he was like, we need to document this journey. This is it. So he said, tomorrow, we're going to put a camera. We're going to put a camera in the room. And whenever you feel like you want to sit down and you want to share your journey, you do it. You do it then. And I was like, hold on, baby. He was like, no. He was like, because I see it. He said, I see it. And I'm going to tell you, I was just thinking about a month series, but as I kept going with it, I said, no, this is a whole entire podcast. And God has aligned me with so many different people to help bring this to light. Now, I want to talk about being still versus being stuck. A lot of times we get that confused because we don't know the difference. We don't know the difference from being still versus being stuck. And I know because I was that one. Just even last week, just a little bit, I thought I was stuck. But then something clicked in my mind. And it was like, no, baby, you got a whole new paradigm here. You got to understand there is something that is happening. And you just got to sit in it. Pay attention, be aware. Pay attention, be aware. Because being stuck and being still are two different things. You see, being stuck, it feels like you're trapped, right? Like nothing is moving, like you're powerless. Being stuck feels heavy and hopeless. But being divine stillness feels different. Even when your body is forced to stop, even when your plans get directed, there's still this underlying current of movement, of purpose, of something bigger at work. You see, divine stillness, it feels like preparation. It feels like the universe is saying, I'm getting you ready for something bigger. But first you need to slow down enough to receive it. So when you're in that divine stillness, you know, things are still happening. They're just happening on a different level. Internal shifts they are occurring. Clarity is developing. And your vision is sharpening. The key is learning to recognize the difference. See, when you're being asked to slow down, when your plans keep getting redirected, when your body is forced to rest, that's not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it's a sign that something is so right and that the universe and God needs you to stop moving long enough to align with it. To align with it. So how do we recognize divine redirection? How do you know you're experiencing divine redirection versus just obstacles? First, I want you to look at the pattern. Is this one isolated setback? Or is it multiple things shifting at once? You see, when multiple areas of your life are being redirected simultaneously, that's usually a sign of divine intervention. Second, check your body. Obstacles feel like resistance, like you're pushing against something. Divine redirection often comes with a strange sense of peace, right? Even in the midst of disappointment. Your soul knows, even when your mind is frustrated. And third is to pay attention to what's opening while other things are closing. The universe rarely just takes something away without preparing to give you something better. During my week of illness, while my July projects, my June projects were getting postponed, this new podcast vision was downloading. This new series was downloading. And fourth, I want you to notice the people around you. When you're in divine timing, the right people start to show up to support the new direction. My husband's immediate enthusiasm about documenting the explant journey was confirmation that this was the right path. So now you want to talk about trusting the process. That's the hardest part about divine stillness, is trusting it. We live in a culture that makes us feel guilty for not being constantly productive. We're taught that if we're not moving forward, that we're falling behind. But what if stillness is actually the most productive thing that we can do sometimes? What if being forced to slow down is the universe's way of ensuring that we're moving in the right direction? You know, Zia talked about learning to ask, what lesson should I learn from this? Instead of why me? The question transformed everything. When I stopped asking, why am I sick? Why are my plans getting disrupted? And starting asking, what is this stillness trying to teach me? What am I supposed to receive during this time? Everything shifted. I already know, I've already been through these things. But sometimes that old paradigm comes back and you get in that familiar place and you start to, but when you are staying in that stillness, that's when the downloads start coming. That's when the clarity started to emerge. And that's when the new vision that it crystallized. So it's a new something that I have been thinking about for quite a few longest, marinating. I think I shared it in the show, was it last month, a month before last, is that, instead of us moving so fast or jumping and moving quick, let's marinate it in it. Let's sit in it. And that's what I realized during this week, that sometimes our best idea or our most aligned vision or our clearer direction, they need time to marinate. So when I got that confirmation a few weeks ago with Dr. Will that we had both the same thing in mind, like me, he's a doer. And so we're like, okay, that's confirmation that we need to do this project together right here, right now. Not knowing that no, this is a project that you need to do later. I want y'all to marinate on it. I want to let y'all know that both of the downloads that you both had at two different times, that it's aligned. But no, instead of that, we start moving fast. But let me share this with you, and I hope Dr. Will don't mind. I remember having a conversation as we was getting this project together with the purpose rebirth. I remember he telling me that, I was booked for that Saturday for a headliner gig that I had put out months ago, and I hadn't heard back from it. So these were clues. These were messages like, hold on, I got something else for you to do, but I want you to stick with this and let it marinate. But no, we steady moving and trying to make something work. So instead of us just putting our different spices and seasonings to it, remember I just got off a amazing series on Ask Nyomi about mental health. And a matter of fact, Dr. Will just started his brand new podcast of his own. And so he's doing the mental health month of June for the men. So we got both of these amazing series that I just finished and he's just doing right now. And we're trying to put something else that's more amazing in that. We're trying to rush it. You can't rush that. But see, we were moving so fast that even he had to say, usually things that come to me, I'm able to write out of something, everything, and I couldn't do anything. So I had to sit and meditate on it and pray on it. So both of us over there just doing, and it's like, no, y'all need to slow down before you do something that might not be right. So I want to talk about marinating again, because I know a lot of people marinate. Yes. I want you to think about cooking. So, when you marinate your meat, you're not doing it slow, slow down the cooking process out of impatience. You're doing it because that's the flavor gets deeper, right? It gets richer. It gets more complex when you give it the time to soak in. It's flavorful. It's like, when I want people to experience what I have to offer, what Dr. Will have to, what God has given us to offer. I want this to be something just so soulful that it's that, I don't know, when you're in the wintertime and you eat that, that meal that stick to your bones, that can carry you through. That is what I want when you guys are listening to the Season of Self-Love. With any retreat that I do, I want y'all to soak it in, that it will become one with you. Will it become one with you? Sometimes the universe gives us a forced stillness because our next level needs time to marinate. The vision needs to get richer. The clarity needs to deepen. And the alignment needs to strengthen. And if I had rushed into my July projects, my series, the way that I originally planned, I would have missed the whole explant podcast download entirely. I would have been too busy on executing old plans to receive the new vision. But because I was forced to be still, because I had to let everything marinate, I received something that was so much better than what I had planned. And here's something else. Here's something else. And it's something that I remember talking with one of my guests a few months ago about our body being our wisdom, about our body having the wisdom that our minds don't always understand. You see, your body knows when you're moving too fast. Your body knows when you are pushing against divine timing. Your body knows when you need to slow down to receive something important. Sometimes illness just isn't random. It's your body's way of creating the stillness that you need, but you won't give yourself that voluntarily. See, when I thought I was ready to hit the ground running after Miami, my body knew I needed more integration time. My body knew I needed space to receive these new downloads. My body even gave me a hint. But no, I'm still like, nope, I get home on Saturday, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. And my body was like, okay, I'm trying to communicate with this person. I'm trying to communicate her and let her know, look, you feel your throat closing? That's your throat chakra. That means you won't be able to speak next week. When I'm sitting here really thinking about it, like my throat was almost closed. And I'm still steady trying to do something. And when you start to miss those communication with your body and you ignore those messages until they become loud, so we can't ignore them anymore. See, my thing is if I can move, then I can do something. Oh, I got you. We're going to swell you up. We're going to swell you up where you can't walk, where you get uncomfortable, that you don't have no choice but to lay in bed with your legs elevated. So now what if we started listening to the whispers instead of waiting for the shouts? What if we started listening to those little notes? Remember I told you about the little closing of my voice and my throat? And what if I honored the respect of our body's request to rest before it had to force us into stillness? So I know, like Naomi, how do we, apply this? How do we practically apply everything that you was just talking about? How do we embrace the still moments instead of fighting them? First, let's reframe illness and setbacks as potential download time. Instead of seeing them as a lost time, see them as a receiving time. Second, ask better questions during forced stillness. What is this stillness trying to teach me? What is this stillness trying to teach me? What vision am I supposed to receive during this time? What direction is trying to emerge? And what needs to shift in my life for better alignment? Third is to create space for divine downloads during your still moments. This might mean journaling, meditating, or like me, organizing and cleaning while staying open to inspiration. Fourth is to pay attention to what wants to emerge during these times. Don't dismiss ideas that come during illness or setback as just weird thoughts. Some of them are our most aligned vision that comes during our most vulnerable moments. And fifth, trust your body's wisdom. If you're getting sick frequently, if you're feeling constantly tired, and if your body is asking you for rest, listen. Your body might be trying to create space for something important to come through. You know what's so beautiful about forced stillness? That it creates the perfect conditions for creative downloads. As I'm sitting here and I am doing this episode, and as I was just reading everything right there, I have this beautiful woman that is in my life. She is my best friend. My best friend, my sister's mother, who I call Ma. And she is my fellow Libra. I'm telling you, if I didn't have her in my life during my high school life, I probably would have been somewhere hung up somewhere dead, because we kind of had the same temper, but she was able to help me to bring it together. And I hope she don't mind me sharing this, but right now she had went through surgery, and she's that type of woman that she works a lot. And when I mean she works, she's always on the go. She's very creative, very special, does a lot of things. And so she's always on the go of doing things. And I remember, and I think I shared this before, that I had a dream about her a few months ago. And we were so aligned spiritually. And when I called her about the dream, and I didn't know that was happening, but it was happening with her. Right now, she's down. After her surgery, she's down and she can't move the way she wants to move. And I remember telling her then, and this is why I'm laughing now, because I said, you know what? God has something planned for you. And he just wants you to rest your body right now. And she said, but no, I got to get up and move. She said, I don't like this. I said, I know, because you used to being on the move. You used to being productive. You used to being this and that. I said, but God got something for you. And as I'm sitting here and I'm reading this up, I'm getting this, I'm like, wait a minute. This message is not just for me or for her. This message is for you too. If you are moving and you think that you need to be productive, if you don't think you need to stay off of work or do anything, it's time for you to stay still before you miss what the message is for you. And trust and believe that it's so much bigger than you, but it's so amazing. It is so amazing. You see, when we constantly moving and we constantly doing and we constantly executing things, there is no space for new ideas to land. Our minds are too busy with what's already on the list to receive, or what's to be added to that list. So we're like, oh, we can't do that because we're already doing this. So we can't do that. So because we are already doing this. And so you missed what your true assignment in life is. You miss what your truest purpose is in life. But in stillness, even for stillness, there is space, there's quiet. And this is the time that you receive and be receptive. When I tell you some of the best ideas, some of the most creative ideas, they come during times when I thought I was doing nothing, times when I was sick, times when plans got canceled, times when I was forced to slow down. Again, this explant podcast vision that came through this past weekend that never would have happened if I was busy executing my original July plans. My mind would have been too occupied to receive it. But by lying there in that forced stillness, organizing and creating space, suddenly there was room for this new vision to land. So real quickly, I want to tell you about the difference between force and flow real fast. What I'm learning is that there's a huge difference between forcing our creativity and allowing it to flow. When we force creativity, we're trying to make things happen according to our timeline, our plans, our ideas, and how things should unfold. But when we allow creativity to flow, we're staying open to the divine timing, to the redirections, to the visions that are bigger and more aligned than what we originally planned. For stillness, it teaches us the difference. It shows us what happens when we stop trying to control the process and start trusting it instead. So I'm going to show you what July's new direction is. So here's what's beautiful, because I was forced to slow down because my July plans got redirected. Again, I have a space for a new podcast vision to unfold organically. Instead of me being stressed about executing multiple projects simultaneously, I can focus on this one aligned vision that came through during my stillness. Instead of me forcing old plans into new energy, I can now allow this new vision to guide my next steps. This is what divine timing looks like. This is what happens when we trust the process instead of fighting it. And now in your still moments, this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about the still moments in your own life. The times when plans got canceled, when you got sick, when things didn't go accordingly to your time plan. I want you to think about what those downloads during those times that you dismiss. Were those insights there that they try to come through and you ignored them because you were too focused on getting back to your original plans? What if those weren't interruptions to your purpose? What if those were invitations into a deeper alignment? What if? So, Dr. Will don't give y'all assignments, but I'm going to give y'all one for this week. I'm going to give you an assignment for this week. Your assignment for this week is to notice when you're being asked to slow down. Notice when your body requests rest, when plans get redirected, when the universe seems to be creating stillness in your life. So instead of fighting it, get curious about it. Ask what wants to emerge during these times. Create space for these downloads, for these visions, for this clarity. And when you receive the insights during your still moments, don't dismiss it. Those downloads during your most vulnerable times might be the exact direction that you've been asking for, that you've been praying for, and you can't see them or you can't hear them because you're too busy trying to do that old plan. Trying to do that old plan. All right, my beautiful people. So as we wrap up today's Transform Tuesday, I just want to leave you with this truth. Sometimes the universe, greatest gift to you, to us, is force stillness. When your plans get redirected, when your body asks for rest, when things don't go accordingly to your timeline, that's not always a setback. Sometimes it's a setup for something even better. See, this explant podcast vision that came through during my week of illness, that never would have happened if I was too busy executing my original plans. Sometimes we need to be still long enough to receive what we didn't even know we were asking for. This experience has taught me that divine timing is real, that our bodies have wisdom that we need to honor. And that's the best downloads often come during our most vulnerable moments. And I'm excited to share more about the new podcast journey as it unfolds, and speaking of exciting things and getting ready for July. So even though my original plans were shifted, there's some incredible content coming that I can't wait to share with you all. Again, your homework for this week is simply but powerful, is to notice when you're being asked to slow down instead of fighting it. Get curious about it. Ask what wants to emerge during your still moments. Create the space that you were for stillness for those divine downloads. Create the space, whether that's through journaling, organizing, walking, or just being present. Stay open to what's to come through. And when you do receive those insights during your vulnerable moments, don't dismiss them as just weird thoughts or being sick. Those are downloads. Those downloads might be exactly the direction that you've been praying for. And I want you to remember, my loves, sometimes being still isn't being stuck. Sometimes being still isn't being prepared. It's being prepared for that next level. So I want you to trust the process, trust the timing, trust the universe, trust God, and know what it's doing, even when you don't. So before you leave today, I want you to do something for me. I want you to place your hand on your heart, and I want you to repeat after me. I trust divine timing. I honor my body's wisdom. I am open to receive what's meant for me, even when it doesn't look like what I planned. All right, my beautiful people, until next time, I want you to remember that every moment of forced stillness is an opportunity for divine download. Every redirected plan is a chance for better alignment. And every setback might actually be a setup for your greatest breakthrough. So I want you to be kind to yourself, and I want you to honor the needs of rest and listen to what your body is telling you. And remember that sometimes the most transformative thing to you is to do absolutely nothing. To do absolutely nothing. So my beautiful people, have a beautiful aligned day. And remember, you are exactly where you need to be, even when it doesn't feel like it. Have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today, and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.